The Macaroni Mayhem, Noodlehead Nick had outdone himself this time. After the tumultuous success of the fettuccine flyer, Nick was determined to create an invention that was both practical and foolproof. He believed he had found the perfect solution with his latest creation, the macaroni mixer, a machine designed to automate the process of making macaroni and cheese, Spaghettiville's favorite comfort food. The macaroni mixer was a marvel of engineering. It could boil pasta, mix in the cheese sauce, and serve up steaming bowls of macaroni and cheese with a simple push of a button. Nick was confident that this invention would not only simplify meal preparation, but also bring joy to the entire town. For days, Nick worked tirelessly in his workshop, perfecting the macaroni mixer. He tested various cheese blends, experimented with different pasta shapes, and ensured that the machine was easy to operate. Finally, the day came for the grand unveiling. Nick set up the macaroni mixer in the town square, and the townspeople gathered in eager anticipation. The machine was an impressive sight, with shiny metal parts, colorful buttons, and a large, transparent dome where the macaroni and cheese would be prepared. Mayor Macaroni, who had become quite accustomed to Nick's unpredictable inventions, stood next to the machine with a cautious smile. Citizens of Spaghettiville, today we witness the birth of a new culinary marvel. Let's hope that the macaroni mixer brings us more delicious meals and fewer messes. Nick, brimming with pride, stepped forward and pressed the start button. The macaroni mixer sprang to life with a cheerful hum. Water boiled, pasta tumbled into the pot, and a rich, creamy cheese sauce began to blend with the perfectly cooked macaroni. At first, everything went smoothly. The townspeople watched in amazement as the macaroni mixer efficiently produced bowl after bowl of mouth-watering macaroni and cheese. The aroma wafted through the air, making everyone's mouths water. But as more people gathered and the demand for macaroni and cheese increased, the macaroni mixer began to show signs of strain. The machine, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of orders, started to malfunction. It sputtered, whirred, and then, with a loud clank, began to overproduce macaroni and cheese. Bowls overflowed, cheese sauce sprayed in all directions, and soon, the entire town square was awash in a sea of macaroni and cheese. The townspeople tried to keep up, but the relentless flood of pasta was too much. People slipped and slid on the cheesy surface, laughing and shouting as they tried to navigate the gooey mess. Nick, frantically trying to regain control of his creation, pressed buttons and pulled levers, but the macaroni mixer continued its cheesy onslaught. Mayor Macaroni, drenched in cheese sauce and clutching a dripping bowl of macaroni, approached Nick with a bemused expression. "Nick," he said, wiping cheese from his face, "it seems your macaroni mixer has turned into a macaroni mayhem." Nick, covered in cheese and pasta, grinned sheepishly. "I guess I need to work on the capacity settings. But hey, at least we've got plenty to eat." Despite the chaos, the townsfolk couldn't help but laugh. They spent the rest of the day cleaning up and sharing the excessive bounty of macaroni and cheese, turning the disaster into a giant picnic. The children played in the cheesy puddles, and the adults exchanged stories of Nick's latest adventure. From that day on, Spaghettiville embraced Nick's inventive spirit, knowing that his creations, while sometimes flawed, always brought a sense of fun and community. And Nick, ever the optimist, continued to dream up new ways to make life in Spaghettiville as delicious and delightful as possible. The cannelloni catastrophe. The town of Spaghettiville had seen its fair share of culinary adventures thanks to Noodlehead Nick. Despite the previous mishaps, the townsfolk were always eager to see what Nick would come up with next. This time, Nick had a plan that he believed would change the way Spaghettiville preserved its beloved pasta dishes. Introducing the cannelloni cooler, a machine designed to freeze and store giant cannelloni tubes for future feasts. Nick envisioned that the cannelloni cooler would allow the townsfolk to enjoy their favorite stuffed pasta anytime they wanted, without the hassle of daily preparation. The machine could rapidly freeze freshly made cannelloni, keeping them perfectly preserved until needed. Confident in his latest creation, Nick invited everyone to the town square for a grand demonstration. The cannelloni cooler was a massive contraption, gleaming with stainless steel and covered in colorful buttons and levers. It stood proudly in the center of the square, drawing curious looks from the gathered crowd. Nick, wearing his trademark chef's hat, and a pair of goggles stood beside it, ready to show off its capabilities. Mayor Macaroni, ever the supportive leader, addressed the crowd. Citizens of Spaghettiville, today we witness another innovative invention from our very own Noodlehead Nick. Let's hope this one keeps us cool without making too much of a mess. Nick gave a thumbs up and began the demonstration. He loaded the machine with freshly made cannelloni, filled with a variety of delicious fillings, ricotta and spinach, sausage and peppers, and even a special seafood blend. With a dramatic flourish, Nick pressed the start button. The cannelloni cooler hummed to life, its internal mechanisms whirring and clanking as it prepared to freeze the pasta. A series of tubes and vents released a blast of frosty air, and the temperature inside the machine dropped rapidly. The crowd watched in awe as the machine efficiently froze each batch of cannelloni, neatly stacking them in transparent compartments. Everything seemed to be going perfectly, but as the machine continued to freeze more and more cannelloni, an unexpected problem arose. The intense cold caused the machine's internal components to contract and expand erratically. Suddenly, with a loud bang, one of the main cooling pipes burst, sending a torrent of icy mist and frozen cannelloni into the air. The townspeople gasped as frozen pasta rained down upon them. The temperature in the square plummeted, and within moments, Spaghettiville was transformed into a winter wonderland, covered in a thick layer of frost and frozen cannelloni. People slipped and skated on the icy ground, trying to avoid the flying pasta. Nick, frantically attempting to shut down the machine, slipped on a patch of ice and tumbled into a pile of frozen cannelloni. Mayor Macaroni, wrapped in a thick coat of frost and holding a rock-solid cannelloni, approached Nick with an amused yet exasperated expression. "Nick," he said, shaking his head and shivering slightly, "it seems your cannelloni cooler has given us a bit of an unseasonal surprise." Nick, teeth chattering and cheeks red from the cold, managed a sheepish grin. "I suppose I didn't account for the machine's durability in extreme temperatures. But look on the bright side, at least we've got plenty of frozen cannelloni for a future feast." Despite the icy chaos, the townsfolk couldn't help but laugh. They spent the rest of the day enjoying the unexpected winter landscape, building snowmen out of cannelloni and having impromptu snowball fights. The children delighted in the novelty of a snowy day in Spaghettiville, and the adults warmed up with hot cocoa and tales of Nick's latest escapade. From that day on, Spaghettiville embraced Nick's inventive spirit, knowing that his creations, while sometimes unpredictable, always brought joy and a sense of community. And Nick, ever the dreamer, continued to tinker and experiment, always seeking new ways to bring a touch of magic and laughter to his beloved town. The tortellini tornado. The citizens of Spaghettiville had grown accustomed to Noodlehead Nick's inventive escapades. After the icy adventure of the cannelloni cooler, Nick decided it was time for a new invention that would not only be practical, but also spectacular. His latest creation was the tortellini tornado, a device designed to mix and cook tortellini with the speed and elegance of a whirlwind. Nick's idea was to create a giant, transparent cylinder that would mix dough and filling ingredients, shape them into perfect tortellini, and cook them in mid-air, all within a mesmerizing vortex. The tortellini tornado would then gently deposit the cooked pasta into serving bowls, ready for the townspeople to enjoy. For weeks, Nick tinkered with his new invention, fine-tuning the delicate balance between speed, temperature, and airflow. The townsfolk were both excited and a bit nervous, remembering the various pasta-related mishaps of the past. Nevertheless, they eagerly awaited the grand unveiling. On the day of the demonstration, the town square was packed with curious onlookers. The tortellini tornado stood tall, its shiny surface reflecting the sunlight, while its transparent walls revealed the intricate machinery within. Nick, beaming with confidence, stood beside his creation, ready to dazzle the crowd. Mayor Macaroni, wearing a cautiously optimistic expression, addressed the assembled townspeople. "Citizens of Spaghettiville, today we gather to witness another groundbreaking invention from our very own Noodlehead Nick. Let us hope the tortellini tornado brings us joy and perfectly cooked pasta." Nick, with a dramatic flourish, pressed the start button. The machine whirred to life, and a gentle breeze began to swirl inside the cylinder. Flour, eggs, and water mixed together in a graceful dance, forming dough that was quickly transformed into delicate tortellini shapes. The vortex grew stronger, and the tortellini spun through the air, cooked to perfection by jets of hot steam. At first, everything went smoothly. The crowd watched in awe as the machine created and cooked tortellini with astonishing speed and precision. Bowls of steaming pasta were gently deposited onto tables, and the townspeople eagerly began to dig in, savoring the delicious flavors. But as the machine continued to operate, the vortex inside the cylinder grew more intense. The gentle breeze transformed into a powerful whirlwind, and soon, the tortellini were not the only things caught in its grasp. Bits of dough and filling began to fly out of the machine, creating a chaotic scene. The townspeople tried to dodge the flying ingredients, but the tortellini tornado showed no signs of slowing down. The powerful vortex sucked in anything within reach: napkins, hats, and even a few unfortunate pigeons. The air was filled with a storm of pasta and various objects, creating a comedic spectacle. Nick, realizing the situation was spiraling out of control, frantically tried to shut down the machine. He wrestled with the controls, but the tornado continued its relentless spin. Mayor Macaroni, ducking to avoid a flying tortellini, approached Nick with a mixture of amusement and exasperation. "Nick," he shouted over the roar of the vortex, "it seems your tortellini tornado has turned into a culinary cyclone." Nick, covered in dough and dodging flying pasta, managed a sheepish grin. "I guess I underestimated the power of the vortex. But look on the bright side, we've got plenty of entertainment and pasta." Despite the chaos, the townsfolk couldn't help but laugh. They spent the rest of the day trying to catch flying tortellini and turning the disaster into a hilarious game. Children ran around with nets, and adults shared stories of Nick's latest invention gone awry. From that day on, Spaghettiville embraced Nick's inventive spirit, knowing that his creations, while sometimes unpredictable, always brought a sense of fun and community. And Nick, ever the optimist, continued to dream up new ways to infuse his beloved town with excitement, laughter, and of course, delicious pasta. The rigatoni rocket. The town of Spaghettiville had seen many of Nick's culinary contraptions, each one more ambitious and entertaining than the last. After the whirlwind adventure of the tortellini tornado, Nick was inspired to reach new heights literally. His latest invention aimed to combine his love for pasta with the thrill of space exploration. Thus, the rigatoni rocket was born. Nick envisioned the rigatoni rocket as a way to send pasta into space, cooking it perfectly in the zero-gravity environment and returning it to Earth as the most unique dining experience ever. The rocket was designed to launch from the town square, travel into the upper atmosphere, and then return with freshly cooked rigatoni, ready to be served. For weeks, Nick worked on the rigatoni rocket, making sure every detail was perfect. He installed a special pasta cooker that would use the heat generated during re-entry to boil the pasta, and a sauce dispenser that would mix ingredients in mid-air. The townsfolk, intrigued by the promise of space-cooked pasta, gathered once more to witness Nick's daring endeavor. On the day of the launch, the town square was filled with excitement and a touch of nervousness. The rigatoni rocket stood tall, its sleek design and bright colors a testament to Nick's creativity. Nick, dressed in a makeshift astronaut suit, stood proudly beside his invention, ready to make history. Mayor Macaroni, holding a ceremonial bowl of uncooked rigatoni, addressed the crowd. "Citizens of Spaghettiville, today we embark on an unprecedented journey. Let us hope that the rigatoni rocket brings us pasta from the stars and not another spectacular mess." Nick, with a confident smile, loaded the bowl of rigatoni into the rocket and activated the launch sequence. The rocket's engines roared to life, and with a burst of flame and smoke, it soared into the sky. The townspeople cheered as they watched the rigatoni rocket ascend, trailing a plume of vapor. For a few tense minutes, everyone waited, eyes fixed on the sky. Then, with a flash and a boom, the rocket reappeared, descending rapidly toward the town square. The parachutes deployed, and the rigatoni rocket landed gracefully, much to the relief of the onlookers. Nick rushed to open the rocket's hatch, eagerly anticipating the perfectly cooked rigatoni inside. But as he opened the door, a thick cloud of steam billowed out, followed by an avalanche of rigatoni. The pasta, instead of being neatly contained, had expanded wildly in the zero-gravity cooker, filling the entire rocket. The townspeople gasped and then burst into laughter as a torrent of rigatoni spilled into the square, covering everything and everyone in sight. Nick, now covered in pasta, tried to salvage the situation, but it was clear that the rigatoni rocket had once again exceeded expectations in the most unexpected way. Mayor Macaroni, pulling a strand of rigatoni from his hat, approached Nick with a grin. "Nick, it seems your rigatoni rocket has brought us more pasta than we could ever imagine." Nick, laughing along with the crowd, shrugged and said, "I guess I didn't account for the pasta's expansion in zero gravity. But look on the bright side, we've got enough rigatoni to feed the town for weeks." Despite the chaos, the townsfolk embraced the mishap with their usual good humor. They gathered up the pasta and turned the town square into a giant rigatoni feast, sharing bowls of pasta and stories of Nick's latest adventure. From that day on, Spaghettiville embraced Nick's inventive spirit, knowing that his creations, while sometimes unpredictable, always brought joy and a sense of community. And Nick, ever the dreamer, continued to tinker and experiment, always seeking new ways to infuse his beloved town with excitement, laughter, and of course, delicious pasta.